Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Beyond Sports Podcast, where Sam sleeps and we BS about sport. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Saturday. Let's get into this. Divisional round weekend, boys. Saturday, Jags at Chiefs. Chiefs pulling that victory, 27-20. Mahomes with the high ankle sprain. Man.
It's Mahomes, one-legged Mahomes, and then everybody else.
Correct.
Certainly in that game.
You're still making jump pass touchdowns on one leg.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's really set himself. It's like they were talking about today. He's like one of the few quarterbacks that can withstand like a high ankle sprain because he's so used to throwing in awkward positions and all that to where he doesn't get the normal drive off that foot, because that's the foot it's his drive foot.
Right.
So he doesn't rely on that as much as somebody like a Dak Prescott does.
And he had a sprain against like in week 1 against Jacksonville a year in 2020, I want to say, right? They kind of messed with him for a little bit, but he played through it all and he did fine. So hopefully, but man, sprains can be different though. Like some sprains you can get over in a week or two. Other ones, we've seen high ankle sprains mess with guys all season long.
Yeah, that looked like one of those.
Yeah, and next week it's going to look difficult.
Yeah.
The game plan is going to have to change quite a bit.
Yeah, which I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Catch them off guard, right?
The good thing is like we've ran the ball fairly well against this Bengals team. The last couple times we played them, we just give up on the run too early. Maybe this year we'll make them stick with the run a little bit more, because I think the way that Isaiah was playing on Saturday was freaking awesome.
He was an absolute monster on that night.
The passion that dude runs with. I was just
the one where he tried to run up the gut and had nowhere to go, and then he cuts to the outside. Like, I've watched that play a few times now, just because it's almost alien how fast he hits his full speed. Like, it's insane. Yeah, where he almost scored the touchline.
Yeah, man.
That one that he bounced out to the left.
Yeah. And like watching him get to full speed. I remember when I saw it on TV, I was like, did my TV like just go crazy and it like sped up a little bit?
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, that was just how fast he got to full speed.
Yeah.
We found something with him. He had 95 yards on the ground, another 6 through the air, so he did get 100 total yards.
Nice.
And he did it on like 12 carries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it took him. That's a nice average.
Every time he touched the ball, he just fell forward for 7 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed this too. McKinnon had 0 catches, but it was obvious that once Mahomes had his high ankle sprain, all he was there for was to protect Mahomes.
Yeah. He is like,
it was obvious,
that dude.
And he did too.
And he was taking people out.
Dude, he protected our QB. Like,
who was that corner that he just took out, man?
Oh,
I
don't know. Yeah, I can't think of the dude's name, but he absolutely.
I mean,
McKinnon's not big.
Like a big guy, but he can fucking wallop dudes, man.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny too, because you rewatch that play, the dude he hits looks caught off guard. Like when he gets hit, he's like, wait.
And he's the dude who's like got a full head of steam. Like he's the one running in, you know?
Yeah, because at that point, Pat still had the ball. And the guy was like,
that saved him.
McKinnon again and go after Pat? Or
Yeah,
because he kind of stands there like, wait, what? Do I try that again?
He was confused.
It was a little extra sad to see Pat go down with that injury, because he was like that opening drive. My God,
Pat was historically great the first 1.5 drives up until he got injured. Like, we're talking, he was looking like he was going to have a
Make it-
historic type day.
Making completions while getting sacked.
Pocket just
Yeah. I mean,
goes.
it looked super fucking easy out there, right? Like it didn't look like anything that was coming at him was new to him. It didn't look like anything bothered him. He was just in rhythm.
Yeah, Kelsey was setting up to have a monster.
I mean, Kelsey did have
a monster
Now that you
day.
mentioned, I mean, he set the tight end record for most postseason catches in a single game and came one shy of tying the NFL record
Yeah,
for postseason catches in a single game. So
He had a hell of a game.
It might have looked even better without an injury.
absolutely. I mean, but also he was huge on that Henne drive.
Yeah. Speaking of Henne,
Chad
like,
Henne with the
coming
most important drive of the Chiefs season.
Yeah, just-
98 yard.
98
98
He's a bona fide Chiefs legend at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. After the Browns playoff game and this playoff game,
I mean, I think that he was able
love
to
him.
come in, and that's potentially that's that drive that probably won the game for the Chiefs.
I mean, okay, so like first there was Mahomes going down, and then there was like that like all of KC.
yeah,
Like, oh god, they pinned us at the 2,
at the fucking
and we
two.
have Chad Henne coming in. Like, okay, we're screwed on this drive, and then he takes it down.
And for Andy to open up that drive with a pass play too.
Oh yeah, it
like
showed
you have your backup and you're at the 2-yard line. So and you're trusting your backup to throw it in the end zone. I mean,
It's like the Browns game. Like they're
Fourth
not
and
going to
3.
throw it. They're trying to get the false start here. I mean, Tony Romo, I can still hear it to this day. Him,
right. There's no way they're going to snap.
There's no way they're going to. And then he snaps it and
Snaps.
throws the ball.
and wins the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So
That's
I mean,
trust in your backup right there.
And man, Henny's been with us for what, 4 years now? 4 or 5 years? Like,
Yeah.
Hey man, he knows the system. We have packages for him. We have a whole game plan
Plus,
for him. It's
he
obvious.
played for the Jags too, which was kind of cool
Yeah.
to see him go out there and get to do it against his former team.
His former team. Oh yeah. But
Lawrence had a good day too.
Trevor, I mean, he did really
alright.
good up until that Agnew fumble, and
Yeah.
then that's when it seemed to unravel for Trevor.
Mm-hmm. He
Yeah,
was tough to get down.
kind of forced stuff in there.
Yeah,
I
I mean
did-
that's understandable. Young quarterback.
In our text exchange, I did mention like we were letting Trevor get away with a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
mistakes. Like we should have had at least 2 other interceptions that game.
And it was on both sides. I mean, both
Oh yeah.
defenses.
Yeah, and speaking of
Had a
Chad
couple
Henne,
drops.
he did get away with one as well. Where
Yeah,
you know,
Penny got away with one. I think Mahomes got away with one.
But then you look too, Kirk had that
Oh.
wide open.
The wide
Deep
open
ball.
drop, man. I mean,
hurts,
the game of
yeah.
I mean, that's the sort of shit that it sucks in a game like that they were in because that's the sort of stuff that cost them the game.
Man.
I
The
gained a
sort of
little
shit
more.
though, like that the Bengals probably aren't going to do next week. You know, that shit that might kill us because like
Yeah.
Jamar Chase doesn't drop that ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, Tyler Boyd did against us earlier in the year.
Didn't matter.
I did. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I gained a little more respect for Trevor Lawrence because after the game he stood in the tunnel
And gave as many players high fives as he could.
yeah, high fives
Gave
and
hugs
hugs.
and stuff.
man,
I thought that was cool.
They had a hell of a
gesture.
season. Like
Absolutely.
the
I
Jaguars
mean,
can't be hanging their head. You overachieved.
no, and that
Yeah.
team's future is so fucking bright. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't a
That-
team that has a lot of pending free agents. You're talking 2 or 3 guys that you need to really hammer down and keep. Your whole offensive line,
Yeah,
other
yeah.
than one player, is coming back.
You're young. The last 2 years you've had the first overall pick. So you've been able to build a team.
These guys are
Uh,
going to keep getting better.
And now,
And they're adding Calvin Ridley next year.
Calvin Ridley next year. So
they could take that Eagles jump that we saw.
absolutely.
The Eagles,
Yeah.
Who lost in the wild card round, didn't make it that far and didn't look great in the playoffs, and then took a huge jump this year. The Jags could be that team next year.
The
Yeah. That goes from like a good playoff team to like actual contender.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see them. They're gonna be the pretty clear favorite to be the AFC South winner.
I was getting ready to
Sure.
say this division just seems kind of theirs for the taking.
Yeah.
The Titans might fuck.
division feels very NFC Southish.
Yeah, the Titans could potentially. We'll see if they, because the Titans just seem to be
They need to get
injury riddled.
and
Yeah, they've got
they need to get
a lot of things to work
Yeah,
out.
their coach is good enough to keep them in the conversation. I think Vrabel's a good enough coach to
That's a good point, but they need to get like a real quarterback at some point.
Yeah, of
Eventually,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, they need to get some receiver.
In
You
a
hope
wide
their
receiver now.
And they're hoping, Treylon Burks takes that step.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I think Traylon Burks is going to be good.
yeah, I think he is. I just think it was weird to, just move. You just set yourself back a few
They
years.
did.
Yeah, it made no
Absolutely
sense.
Yeah.
That made no sense.
You
That's
you
why they
drafted
GM got
AJ
fired.
Brown. You knew he was a bona fide star. You traded him away and started over at that position because for whoever knows what reason.
Yeah, man.
That's not an insane contract that he signed.
Not for the production he put up, man.
No. I mean, and it's right in line with what like Debo and all them got. Actually, it's one of the better contracts to swallow
Man.
out of this. So,
But whatever. Okay. Anyways, the Jacksonville and Chiefs game.
yeah, my
Back to
bad.
that thing. Man, hey, playoff Frank. We saw him again, man.
Frank the Shark,
Frank the Shark Clark, man.
dude.
He just shows up in the postseason. Just, got another sack, a couple tackles for losses. Like, he was flying around, man.
Dude. Yeah, played awesome.
Chris Jones still not getting that
first
sack.
postseason sack still
I
eludes
mean,
him.
and it's you see him getting pressures, and he's there. You feel his presence, but
yeah,
I think the D line could be the difference for us next week.
you hope
it's
You
going to
hope.
have to be.
That's where we made a lot of improvements.
Buffalo's D line is not like they're really not that great.
Since
Like,
Von Miller went down.
was
That-
there.
That's a huge, that was a huge
Yeah.
loss for them. Like Von Miller going down really kind of,
And
they never looked dominant.
Cincinnati's got a really banged up offensive line. Buffalo should have been getting more pressure today. And with us, like this is not going to be it's not going to look the same as last year. Like we get to the quarterback this year.
I
Actually,
don't know, man. Burrow's a hard one to get to.
He is. Burrow is a.
I want to believe that, but like when we played him earlier this year, and when we played like Josh Allen and those quarterbacks that can extend plays, we even Trevor was getting away from it a lot yesterday. Although
wasn't Frank still suspended for that game?
For the Bills game, he
the
was.
Bills game, yeah.
I know. I don't remember if he was back for the Bengals.
He should have been. Those were pretty far apart.
Yeah, I think the Bills was the last game he was suspended for.
But gonna see if our guys can't contain. See if we can play a little contain. Maybe put a spy in at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of a contain and the spy type of defense on them.
You also can't give them too much time to throw.
I mean, that was one of the major
really
problems the Bills, I think,
Burrow's
made was
really
their
good.
defense paid too much attention to Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And they said they
Possibly.
even mentioned that they're like that's the style of
But,
defense they play where they just they react to quarterback's eyes, and Burrow just freaking destroyed them with his eyes.
Yeah, because man, you see him like on that one touchdown where he pump fakes it to Jamar and then goes up to their tight end. Fucking can't think of his name. He was all over the place
Hayden Hurst
today. Hurst, yes, Hurst. But yeah, you see it. He pump fakes and he draws the dudes in, and then there's nobody to cover. Like he draws two corners up, no one to cover Hurst as he's flying to the end zone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if our guys can be a little more disciplined, right? Don't watch his eyes, stay with your assignment, But we've got
he was killing it with his eyes today.
Our secondary
Burrow
is so
was.
young, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
As we said, Jags, good on
Good
you.
season.
I think you're only going to get better.
Absolutely.
Nothing. You got to hold your head up high. It was a great season.
Yeah. Get that man some more weapons.
Exactly.
Yeah, really do.
Why don't
I know
maybe
what-
just grow? Because I think Kirk is a solid piece. Zay Jones had a good year. Keep Evan Ingram.
I mean, yeah.
And then add Calvin Ridley to it.
Yeah, we'll see how
I forgot
Calvin
about Calvin.
looks. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see how he looks next year.
Absolutely. I mean, could be dynamic. Shit. Fuck. Maybe
so
even trade.
stupid that he was out this long.
Maybe not even add Calvin Ridley. Maybe trade out Calvin Ridley in your first round pick to Arizona for DeAndre Hopkins. Think about how that would be huge for Trevor Lawrence to add D Hop.
That would be
That'd be a
that
crazy ass receiving room.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, you'd give yourselves a Bengals type receiving core then.
Uh,
Right? I mean, that's
I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins is going to go to a team that really wants to overpay for a receiver, and I don't think Jacksonville needs to.
Yeah, I think they already overpaid. In people's eyes, they already overpaid for one.
Although hey man,
Kirk had
a
very solid year. I think he was worth it.
Yeah.
He lived up to the contract. Like
Absolutely.
Jacksonville doesn't look that dumb.
Nope.
And that contract looked crazy because it was the first receiver contract that was given out.
Yeah. And it was the one that a lot of people blamed.
They threw everything off.
Hill.
Yeah, they think that's what happened. That drove Tyreek out of our price.
No, it's because everybody knew the fucking salary cap was
rising. Yeah,
was going up
for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on to the night game of Saturday.
Not much to talk about there, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Not a lot. Giants lost to the Eagles 38-7. Take it away.
I definitely saw one team on the field.
Yeah,
dude. Just talk about
and Ndamukong Suh even asked the Giants where they were after the game.
Ass whooping. Just from start to finish, man.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. The Giants looked like a team that didn't even belong.
Yeah, they just looked way out of their league. And I mean, praise to Lane Johnson making it through that entire game with that torn groin.
Dude,
that's huge. Jalen Hurts looked good. It being admittedly not 100%.
You couldn't tell that, or you couldn't really tell.
No. I mean,
feels like maybe in retrospect, Lane Johnson could have taken that week off.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. But
at least the second half of the game, Jesus.
Just say we're good, buddy.
Talk about a terrible game plan by a team. The Giants, what the fuck would they? This was their third time.
I'm not even sure what they were trying to do.
It literally doesn't look like they changed their game plan at any point through any of their matchups. Like they started the first game down 21-0, second game down 19-0, this game 28-0 before they got on the board in all those games. Like,
I mean, I think it's
problematic.
Like,
I mean, the Eagles are a way better team, but I mean, like,
and it's the defense that they're not. It's a different level than. I mean, especially the Vikings. Look who they played last week, right?
I'm just like, we've seen
they have a terrible defense.
Like we've talked about with the Chiefs in division matchups with the Raiders, the first matchup with the Raiders, and then the Broncos matchups. Like these teams the Giants are theoretically built to play against the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders.
It is strange to see the team get smoked the third time playing.
You have you should
even the Seahawks who got smoked by the Niners their third time, at least they kept the game close until pretty well into the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then the Niners ran away with it. The Giants at no point were in this game.
I didn't even sneaky whenever you texted that you were this game's over. I was like, yeah, I agree. I
wasn't even trying to troll, man. I was like,
I was like, even if he's trying to troll, I don't think it's going to work this time because I think that we are way locked in.
Yeah, man.
It's a game that whenever you look at the stats afterwards, it's almost shocking that, you're like, man, I figured Jalen Hurts felt like he had way more than, 190 yards total out there. It just felt like that watching the game.
You guys did great rushing.
Oh my God, 268 as a team.
He didn't.
Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell with 112.
Perfect for a QB who's still trying to get healthy.
Exactly. I mean, dude, that Dallas Goedert was a freak of nature.
Mm-hmm.
He was really good. I mean, really the only
came out of nowhere. Where was Gainwell been fucking all year?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because we've kind of with Miles Sanders, he was healthier this year than last year, so Gainwell got less touches, and it was more of a singular running back room.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, Gainwell. And then Boston Scott, even with a tutty. Gainwell with the rub it in tutty.
Yeah.
But he wanted that. He grew up in Philadelphia wanting to be a quarterback for the Eagles.
Okay.
And
get it.
Yeah, he played at Memphis and shifted from quarterback to just weapon.
Yeah.
So
right. Hey, man.
There's
the Giants. Hey, Giants is
great year.
Same with the Jags. You've
absolutely
overachieved this
great year.
No one expected you to get a playoff win, but you did.
I mean, I hate saying it, but they have a bright future.
They do.
You know, they got a lot of fucking money they can spend.
You know who looks even worse than the Giants after this? The Vikings.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Vikings record looks worse by the week.
The Vikings are looking at that and they're just like, at least it wasn't us.
But it's like, dude, you lost to the team that just got their ass handed to them.
Yeah.
Like thoroughly. And
the Vikings are like, oh, that feels familiar from when we played the Eagles. So
yeah, man. I mean,
like, James Bradbury with an interception in that game. I mean,
and well, just like the difference in how the Giants offense looked last week to this week,
yeah.
You know, like
really what
Danny
it was.
Dimes looked like a real quarterback last week, and this week couldn't do shit.
Well, what it really was our defensive line just outclassed their offensive line the whole game. Was absolutely a wrecking crew. I mean, Hassan Reddick had back-to-back sacks on the 3rd and 4th down. You're like, that's nasty. I mean, just all day we won that battle. We won and then on the flip side, we won the offensive line battle. I mean, we had Jason Kelsey with one-arm pancake blocks.
Yeah.
Like, just absolutely manhandling him. I mean, our guards and centers just absolutely erased their interior line. And yeah. So, I mean, it just made it easy. They kept Jalen clean for the most part. And yeah. Ready for the Niners.
Bradbury jumped that route. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this matchup with the Niners is going to be fucking outstanding.
It's going to be amazing.
That is going to be a good football game.
I have no idea what to expect there. I think these teams match up really well against
really fucking well. They're very similar teams. They have great weapons.
Very complete teams as well.
Yeah.
You know, offensively and defensively. So it's, you know, whoever can get a little more edge over the other one. I think the Eagles. I think they can win next week, man. I do. I think they might be a little better, but I don't know. It could come down to the quarterback play.
I'm really upset that I have to call this game today.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, and
I need a week to think about this.
And honestly, I don't even know if I'd be able to call it on Sunday, next week but right before we play. It's just, I know what my heart wants. But I mean, if we can get to Brock Purdy and keep his throws off time, which we've been great at, that's when he tends to be off target and behind receivers, because that's what the Cowboys were able to do to him today. So, I mean, hopefully we can just do that at a higher level. I mean, our defense produced over 70 sacks this season, which is monstrous.
Almost a record, right?
I think so, yeah. And then our secondary is very capable, so you just got to go out there with a good game plan at this point because you got the talent on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and talking about 7th round rookies for the Chiefs, the undrafted rookie Blankenship at safety for the Eagles has been playing very well since CJ got hurt. Even with Gardner Johnson back, it's really allowed us to utilize him as a slot corner more than a just deep safety, because we're missing Avonte Maddox. So that was a huge find. Great job by Howie Roseman on that, because he's been a major contributor and really helped save the season. Because there's points where you're without, 2 of your top defensive backs, and he was able to fill in that void. Very nice.
So nice.
So
good job, Eagles.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, and I mean, good job for the Giants this season.
Did we mention 5 straight AFC Championship appearances?
Yeah, I mean,
do we hit that point? I forgot.
Yeah, absolutely. Chiefs 5 straight AFC Championship games. Andy Reid has now been to 10 conference championships. 5 when he was the Eagles coach. 5 now as the Chiefs.
Hosting it 5 years in a row too.
Yeah, man. He hosted it 3 times in Philly as well. So that's incredible coach.
And Andy Reid, first coach to have 10 postseason wins with 2 different teams.
The Eagles
had that many with 2.
That is amazing. Eagles also are on their 3 out of their last 4 coaches have led them to the conference title game. Ooh. That is franchise stability right there, because you had Dougie P, Nick Sirianni, and Andy Reid getting you there.
Yeah.
7 times since I think 2002 that the Eagles have gone to the conference championship. So kind of.
That says to me you guys need to have some more patience with these dudes.
Or with like Andy Reid was there for
Andy Reid was there for a long time.
Andy Reid was there for like 12 years. Got to 5 NFC championship games. They let that run its course.
They did.
Chip Kelly, you didn't need to see any longer of.
No.
Maybe the thing with Dougie P is that maybe
weird.
he had lost.
That was weird.
Dougie P, it sucks. I love Dougie P, but maybe
weird.
it was striking when the iron's hot. They're like, we think that
Carson Wentz dug his grave.
Yeah, I still don't understand any of the Dougie P stuff, but you know what? It doesn't matter because they did a good job finding.
They identified
another coach
another young coach that was able to do very successful things.
That seems like he could have them winning their next championship, which
Absolutely.
would be so strange. That would be the weirdest thing. Man, I guess the Cowboys kind of did it from the Jimmy Johnson to the whoever that other dude was.
Yeah.
But he was like gifted this team. Like the next dude was just you know what I mean? That Jimmy Johnson had built up.
Yeah,
and it really felt like Jimmy was still kind of there for that third Cowboys Super Bowl in the 90s, their 5th one, I guess. But
we're under a minute.
To have a guy who can, your team is struggling, and then in a couple of years make you a actual Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But we can go.
Let's go to Sunday.
From one blowout to the next. All right.
Yeah, it was really a bookend type of weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah. So let's start with the first game, the 2:00 game. Bengals beating the Bills 27-10.
Yeah, we covered some of it, but we can.
Mr. January can't win in January.
Dude,
he can get one game.
That's the dumbest nickname.
That really is the stupidest nickname of all time.
For a guy who's never gone undefeated January.
I still like he's called Mr. January because he can't make it to February.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'll take Mr. February, please.
Okay. Josh Allen is soft, right? It's like he starts. He always starts stuff, and then he's the first person to run away and let everyone else come over.
Explain the context. The play that happened, right?
Well,
it was the touchdown play, right?
The touchdown run.
Yeah.
The QB sneak for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he starts, I don't know, yelling at one.
The one that I find more egregious though is from last week.
Oh yeah,
he threw the interception, and then the guy comes over and pushes him because he's gonna block for his own player, and then literally stops. He gives him one push. And he's like, okay, I don't need to block you anymore. And then Josh Allen comes over and starts a shoving match, gets little bitch boy, and then he gets up to walk away. Yeah, he gets into his feeling. I understand he's competing, but don't start stuff and then be the first guy out of there to let your teammates come over and save you.
That's kind of what
I've seen you take big hits.
That is kind of what he's supposed to do, though.
But it's kind of what you're supposed to do. Is you're like,
but don't start it though. In the
offensive line comes over and they protect the quarterback and you at all costs because that's
whenever a dirty hit goes against your quarterback, but don't start something and then make your offensive line.
We're all agree is Josh Allen is his style of play is he initiates contact. He's a quarterback that lowers his shoulder, delivers a boom. But it seems like anytime he takes one of those hits instead of delivering it, that he then has words to exchange with the player who delivered that hit. And that's where I get irritated with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Is because it seems like he can dish it out but not take it, sort of thing.
Exactly.
Because if you look at
you remember when we sacked him in the AFC Championship, and he kicked out at I think it was Frank Clark or Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Kicks out at him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I felt like with that because he took a big shot on that QB sneak in this game.
And you're just giving the other team more fuel at that point. You want your QB to be a little more like Andrew Luck was, even Mahomes when he takes hits.
Good hit.
Joe Burrow, where they'll compliment the guys on their hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, they're like, oh, that's a great hit because they play football and they know that that's football.
Yeah.
And that's the shit that happens.
Yeah.
And
Josh Allen walks around with a "How dare you touch me" attitude.
Yeah, he kind of does.
You filthy pores.
Don't you know how much money I make to play this game?
And this was just a game that really felt over in the first quarter,
Yeah, real early.
as well as
yeah, I mean,
it didn't feel like the Bills were ever going to
That-
make it
the first
truly
drive,
competitive.
or two, right? Like I think the Bengals scored on their first 2 drives, right? And it just didn't
Yeah,
feel that tough for them. They're
No.
moving with
That's how I felt in the regular
the
season.
Bills are a team that they can't run the fucking football.
Yeah.
At all.
I mean, Josh Allen led their team in attempts and yards with 8 attempts for 26 yards.
Yeah, and I mean
That was the leader in both categories.
It works for them a lot until you get to these teams that like the Bengals and Chiefs, like more complete teams.
Design runs for Josh Allen are not where it's at. Like that's not the future for you.
Yeah, and I mean it's honest.
Let Josh Allen scramble, like move around in the pocket and fucking scramble out like Mahomes does. Yes.
The biggest thing,
some of that stuff you can do. Some of those design runs you can with that type of quarterback.
Really, with these two teams, to me, the biggest thing that stands out is one organization drafts incredibly well out of those two, and the other one is very bad at it.
Yeah, you don't like the Bills.
The Bills,
they seem to build.
I mean, think about when Josh Allen came into that situation. You know, that wasn't a team that had weapons around him. He didn't have a good running back. He didn't have any good receivers.
Offensively, they haven't.
And the Bengals, like Joe Burrow, dropped into fucking all to a fucking Pro Bowl lineup. You know,
yeah.
Other than his offensive line wasn't that great, but I mean, you look at the caliber of running back, receiver,
wide receivers.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow has nothing but
what might go down as one of the great receiving cores of all time.
Yeah, I mean, even last year, whenever he had Uzama at tight end, that was a above average tight end for him.
Man, the thing with these teams is like the Bengals. They kind of need to win it within the next year or two as well, because that receiving core, they won't be able to afford it.
Yeah, it's going to be very expensive. I mean,
broken up real quick here.
Yeah.
So you got to win it. And the Bills, like this was supposed to be your year. Everybody was calling for you to be the champs. And you couldn't get any further than you did last year. And you got further than that the year before. Like 2 years ago, you got to the AFC Championship. And now last year,
can't get over that hump.
Or 3 years, I guess. But
I know
you've now been bounced in the divisional round.
Right here who saw through that shit.
Yeah. My question is this a team that plays better, that wins this game with Von Miller or an Odell Beckham?
No.
Maybe Von Miller could have
helped on defense.
Von could have made a game-changing player too in there. So
you don't know. They've got to get another receiver.
Yeah. I agree. I don't even think to replace Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis in this postseason and last postseason earned a spot.
Not as a number 2.
No, and I agree. I think that he's a DeMarcus Robinson kind of player.
He can be a number 2 at times, but
yeah, in the playoffs, he's your number 2 receiver because that dude.
Yeah, Dawson Knox showed up, at the end of this year, finally, like the last month of it to play.
I mean,
but yeah, I mean, Bills, I don't know, man. It seems like you should be that team, and you just can't get over that hump. At this point, I don't know what's going to get you over that hump.
I think they have to make a push for Josh Jacobs.
A run game would be great.
You need, or Miles Sanders, you need to go after one of the top running backs on the market. I know.
Does a running back push you over the edge this day and age?
If you can stabilize that position, it might help because that team, like Sneaky said, I mean, they are abysmal at running the football.
Yeah, you don't want to rely on your quarterback to always be your leading rusher.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the Bills ran out of gas, is because everybody figured it out.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can have that dimension of a power running game that Josh Jacob brings to that team, you don't even need to upgrade the receiver because those guys are running more open.
They never had to stack the box to stop the run. Against the Bills.
No, you just go wide because Josh Allen likes to take the edges on his design runs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
and Sneaky, I'll give it to you. Every week when you're like, "Oh, the Bills don't seem that great, or they seem fraudulent," and we'd be like, "Well, they won." I think all the things that made you say that about the Bills showed up in this game.
Yeah,
and they were finally playing a really good team that could exploit all that.
That was
all their weaknesses.
It's not that the Bills aren't. I didn't think the Bills were a good team. They just weren't
the team.
Yeah, the
And
team.
they lived and died on
They
a lot of
finally
calls.
got caught by somebody who could exploit their mistakes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it was a snow game too, so they couldn't make those huge deep shots to Diggs nearly as much, and they kind of rely on that.
Yeah, there was a big one. Josh Allen threw down the left sideline
to Gabe Davis.
that just hit Gabe Davis right in the fucking hands, and it kind of bounces in and out, and then the corner gets to swat it. Man, if he just clutches that in, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
it was a perfectly placed ball. I mean,
I'll say,
but
I will say it's hard to see.
I think it was also on like 3rd and 2 though as well.
Yeah, it was 3rd and 2.
Why are you bombing the thing downfield on a 3rd and 2? You got to have.
That's something that he does a lot too.
That's true.
Even if you get a guy, I know because every game you see that a lot of times they'll hit those a couple times a game and it'll like lead them to a score, but they'll also miss them a bunch. But as long as they hit a few a game, they'll be okay until they play a team like this that can keep up scoring wise. And it's a snow game now, so you're not hitting those 1 or 2 even.
Yeah,
right?
because I mean,
not
visibility, slippery,
and man, why are you doing that on 3rd and 2?
It really feels like Josh Allen is always out there to prove that he's the best at all times. Like no matter the game situation, no matter how risky that's going to be.
Yeah,
like he's got to prove that he can
be that dude.
Throw the 60-yard strike at any time.
Josh Allen to me is the Phillip Rivers of this debate of great quarterbacks right now. I think that the great young quarterback debate should really be a 2-man conversation as of this point, and it should be Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
it's starting to feel like it.
Because
really is. Like this year it did.
That's the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
Everybody wanted it to be Mahomes, Allen coming in
because they got those big monster arms.
Yeah, but then after like the first month, especially after us and the Bills play, Josh Allen just
tanked it.
That really was the mark.
Very,
too.
Very average.
They peaked in the game against us.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the guy that's realistically got a shot at Mahomes' title of the greatest of right now, because if he can go out there and prevent Mahomes from getting Super Bowl wins and get some of his own.
Yeah, I mean he's about to he's about to go to back-to-back Super Bowls.
Potentially, yeah.
He could.
Fantastic young quarterback. He came in
injured Mahomes. It's looking good for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Now I would say in the Super Bowl it's going to be tough against either the Eagles or the Niners for him.
I don't think I picked the Bengals against either of those teams.
I
take both NFC teams actually over the Bengals.
They have devastating lines.
That offensive line will yet again be what holds the Bengals from being able to win it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think.
Speaking of Eagles on Sunday, let's talk about who their opponent's going to be.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. It's
Cowboys and Niners. Niners pulled that one out, 19-12.
Very good football game.
Yeah.
It's a fun game to watch.
That was, a very good defensive football game. Like
absolutely,
Mr. Irrelevant is still undefeated.
Yeah, and, I mean Dan Quinn came in with a really good game plan. Just the offense did not, and it's a hard.
Defense. I thought the Cowboys defense played really well.
They did.
Yeah, man. It seemed like the Cowboys did exactly what they needed to win that game, besides execute on a few offensive plays.
I agree.
Man, you couldn't knock it in for a touchdown the couple times you were in the red zone, right? After being one of the best offensive red zone teams in the league. Your kicker somehow nailing all the field goal like that, the 3-pointers, but still getting the block on that extra point.
And that they pointed out that kick wasn't going to be good.
He
was pushing that left.
The only reason it got blocked is because of how far left he pushed it. Had he hit it straight on, it wouldn't have hit that dude's hand.
He missed a bunch during warmups too. He had 3 in a row and then was bad after that. And they said, what's his name? Jerry Jones went down and talked to him.
At that point, why aren't you just going for 2 like every time?
Right.
I didn't get him even having a job this week.
To
be honest,
who do you go pick up though?
It's hard to pick up
literally anybody.
I mean,
literally
Sam Amendola's the only kicker out there that
I don't give
a fuck
if it's
off the street because he had 1 game of the Yips. Like That's a little harsh.
It was nice to see
And he
him
was
go out
fine.
there
Like
and
that
start.
first thing, it wasn't even his fault.
And
Like I said, he was pushing it. Like we
that
said,
first
he was
one
going to miss
pushed,
that.
yeah, it was his
If you
fault.
because he was on the left hash and he kicked it to the left.
That one was his fault if you look at it in slow mo. Yeah,
Yeah, he was not going to make that kick.
yeah.
He made all his field goals.
He did.
Also-
He did. He made
And
his field goals, and one of them was like almost a 50-yarder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I also saw pregame warm-up stuff where the Niners were out there like keeping him from kicking.
So he
during
was the most
warm-ups.
accurate kicker all year long.
And they were all
Like I
getting
said,
into
sneaky.
it.
Yeah, you're not gonna
There's a
ditch that
reason
dude
I
on
don't run a
on
team.
one bad game.
Dude,
I would
okay,
overreact like that.
His long was a 43, but still, that's crazy. You're making the 43s, but you're, missing all
You
the
know, we also didn't
points.
mention was during the Chiefs game, Harrison Bucker.
Bucker nailing him. Like it wasn't even
Huge kicks.
I mean,
Straight down
they
the
were
middle.
splitting. They were every single one of them split the uprights right down the middle. They were not in question the
Yeah,
entire time.
whatever
And he saved a TD.
problem they had was it's over.
Saved that kick return too.
Yeah, it
Oh,
seemed like
Freddie
they took that bye week and the Chiefs figured out how to their kicking woes.
That was one of the big things. That our special teams all around is something I worry about on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Man, what I think the bad weather kept us from being able to kick it out of the end zone. It had to be that.
I'm
or
not
else
worried
why
about
were
the
we kicking it to
kickoffs as
them?
much. Like, yeah, obviously I would have liked to see that, but I get that it's not a
That was-
guarantee
dude,
every
that dude
time.
didn't their guy make the Pro Bowl? Wasn't he? Isn't he a
Agnew's
Pro Bowl
incredible as a
returner?
kick returner. Yeah, I mean,
Right?
Yeah.
they should
Like,
not have
what
been
are we-
kicking it to
That he
him.
was that he was the MVP of the USFL last year, and then
Was he
to-
really?
Yeah,
Is that
then
where he
came
came
to the
from?
Jaguars and started returning kicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great at it.
Made the Pro Bowl doing it, and we're kicking it to the guy.
Yeah, and he made us pay twice. He had really good returns. So,
But anyway, sorry.
No, you're
We
fine.
forgot to mention old Bucker. So But yeah, back to Cowboys Niners.
yeah, Cowboys held Christian McCaffrey in check most of that game. I don't think he ever ripped off
They did.
anything of value.
And I mean, the Cowboys defense didn't do anything that the Eagles defense can't do next week.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
It's
The
just
Eagles
going
are
to be
better
another
at the back
defensive
end.
game, I feel like. And I feel like I know, people like to praise Dak so much, but I think the Eagles have a better offense than the Cowboys.
for sure.
Yeah, we're more
So-
committed to what we do.
Mhm.
And let's not understate the Tony Pollard injury on what the Cowboys were able to do later in that game.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
He was their most effective
Yes.
back while he was out there, and his loss probably why they lost this game. I think if he doesn't get hurt, they probably would have won this game.
On that run, they lean on him a lot more
Yeah.
because they didn't run nearly as much as they should.
Yeah, I
have,
mean that you
You're
expect to
thro-
see this team do.
because you're throwing it. They threw it 37 times with Dak, not including the couple times he pulled it down to run. And you only between Zeke and Pollard 16 carries.
Yeah, and I mean that's partially
not
because
the Cowboys' formula for winning.
No, Zeke did not look effective running the ball out there against this defense. I don't think it's an indication on who he is as a back. It just was a poor matchup for Zeke because he had a good year. And really what they had used him for was short yardage most of the season.
Dude, he had 26 yards on 10 carries.
Like you're like, all right, man, now you're kind of our every down back again when we just kind of
And
build.
Tony Pollard had 22, only 4 less yards than him on 6 carries, on 4 less carries.
Yeah, Pollard
Yeah,
just runs with some juice.
He does,
So,
man.
I'd say
When's his contract up? Because the Cowboys going to give a big old contract to another running back.
I think I think they might have a decision to make.
Yep.
This
Can
offseason.
Can they cut Elliott?
I think they have an out.
Cap it. They got an out.
I think this is their out.
Okay.
Probably take it.
Yeah. But man, Dak just doesn't look like a quarterback that can win you the game when you need him to fucking win you the game.
No,
At
like
the end of this game again, he's throwing balls that you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? You're getting sacked when you're like, time is of essence.
Dude, that play in the end zone on the final drive, what the fuck was that? Like where he just runs right into the defensive end
Yeah.
in the end zone, like
and then
it's
he
like
just-
he doesn't see him.
Just barely avoiding the safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't understand how the safety didn't happen, but yeah, they just run into each other.
I mean, I feel
Again,
like
man-
I've disrespected Alex Smith a few times on accident when I've compared Dak to Alex. But that dude, I
But-
don't even think he's on it because Alex Smith
Alex
had
Smith
some
would
of
at
his
least
best
take
performances in the playoffs.
in the playoffs, and he would at least take care of the ball. He's not giving it
Yeah.
up to the other team.
Like when he was with the
that.
Niners, like that game against the Saints. I don't know if you guys remember it off the top of your head. That's Alex Smith's greatest game, and it was
Greatest
in the
game, yeah,
playoffs.
with that
thing
huge
was
rushing TD, right? Was that
huge
the one where
rushing
he?
TD at 3 passing tutties.
Yeah,
I want to say in that
No.
game he was fantastic.
Alex-
Against the Colts.
even if the rest of his team didn't always show up, Alex did show up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dak just does not seem like the dude who's got it in him to get you that, to do
No.
it when you need him. Because he looked decent throughout some of this game, right? Through a lot of parts of it, but then you got down to the, hey, we need a game-winning drive,
He's Kirk Cousins.
and he gave you nothing, man.
I would put money on them losing Dan Quinn to potential other suitors as a head
Yeah,
coach.
I think he might end up as the Broncos coach.
I do too. Outside, I could see him as a Colt.
Broncos. So, I mean, do the Broncos want to go like? Do they want to go defensively like that?
I don't think it's a super attractive job.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to get a first timer.
He's not a first timer. He was the head coach. He was the head coach of
Yeah,
the
he was
Falcons
the
when they went to the Super
Falcons.
Bowl.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right.
Dan
yeah.
Quinn's a hell of a coach. Like
He is.
he's a good hire by a team with a
It's-
good defense. Him or the Colts or the Broncos or the
Yeah.
Panthers would all benefit greatly from bringing him on.
I just think that
I guess
like,
first timer is probably the wrong thing to say. More of a like you're not gonna get one of the sexy candidates. Like
Yeah.
Sean Payton's not going there. Obviously Jim Harbaugh is not now.
Yeah.
I think if your issue is with the Broncos, your issue is the offense. You need to bring in an offensive guy.
Oh, I agree,
to
but
I
fix that
agree.
shit. And to tell Russ like, you ain't gonna cook, man. You ain't even
But-
going in the kitchen.
But I mean,
Like,
it's not like when Dan Quinn was with the Falcons, they didn't have high powered offenses. I mean, Matt Ryan won his only MVP while being coached by Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. But
I
who
mean,
was
they
the
had a
offensive
very high powered
Who
offense.
was their offensive coordinator at the time?
Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, well, if you can find a Kyle Shanahan to be your offensive coordinator in Denver, like hire Dan Quinn.
But the thing that shows with Dan Quinn was that he's able to identify good people to have on his staff. I'm just saying he's not a terrible option for teams.
True. He's not. No, he's not. He's not.
I'm not here for the Dan Quinn slander.
And I think there are teams like maybe the Texans who could use somebody like him
Absolutely.
to like bring some structure to their organization.
Absolutely. I think that that's why I said, I think the Colts, he'd be a good candidate for them.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because he could accentuate their strengths on defense. And he'd put an emphasis on them winning the trenches.
Again, he's going to have to find somebody to really run that offense, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know who you bring over to correct that shit.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes to a place like Denver, I think that if I'm Dan Quinn, I probably try to get like a Frank Reich to be my OC.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be terrible, right?
Guy who's got experience at doing that position at a high level.
Yeah,
People will probably be swarming to work for him on the defensive side of the ball.
You got a point.
So
they do something like that. Wouldn't be a terrible option for Denver.
Yeah. So those were our games. Let's get into our picks. So picks haven't really changed too much. Everybody added 3 this week. So it looks like Sam and Sneaky are tied at 7 and me and P are tied at 8. So
all because we took the Cowboys over the Bucks. That's the only thing that separates us, really.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And then Sneaky took the Bengals. And everybody
Well,
else.
What happened? Yeah. What happened this week?
This week Sneaky took the Giants.
I've been a troll and just picked the fucking Eagles.
Yeah, Sneaky took the Giants and that backfired, and we all took the Bills and that.
And he took he won. Okay, he won the Bengals one.
Yeah,
on the blowout.
Back.
The 2 biggest spreaded games were our problems.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's
take the Chiefs and Niners.
Let's get into these picks, boys. Let's go Bengals and Chiefs.
I mean, I can't choose against the Chiefs, although
I really don't like picking this game.
I don't like.
I know, I don't either.
My heart and head are.
I have
My
to
heart
take the
says one thing.
Chiefs.
My head says another.
Yeah.
And I'll
I have
probably
to.
go with
I'm
my.
not going to not.
I'm not. I know I can't pick against the Chiefs, but
Let's get to another hard one.
Let's get. Okay, yeah, dude. Eagles Niners is just.
I'll take Eagles.
Me too.
I'm gonna go Eagles as well because
I'm not taking Eagles for P either. I'm taking the Eagles because I actually believe that
They looked.
I think they're a more complete team. I think
do
the
too.
quarterback
And
position.
That's
Jimmy
my
G's
thing.
Jimmy G's going to be healthy, so they might fuck up and put Jimmy G out there.
Like,
Next Sunday is going to
obviously.
be a very stressful fucking day for me.
Yeah, that better be fucking Nurse Brittany this week.
Damn, yeah,
Yeah.
man. You thought Saturday was gonna be a tough
Yeah,
day for you.
dude, this is going to be fucking. This is rough. This is absolutely.
We've never gotten this close to having a Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl.
No, man, we've never gotten this close.
Like
and it's,
where they're both one.
I'm
one
so
win away.
scared it's about to happen. Like
I
I'm
know, 'cause what do
terrified
you
of that.
do? Because, dude, I mean, I gotta tell you, P, if
I'm watching that game with you because I want to watch you twist.
He barely let me and
I'll watch you
Sam come
swear.
over
Dude,
the year they won.
we had to like force P to watch the Eagles Super Bowl.
And
with
he would
us.
only let Sam and I over. That
Yeah.
was it.
He and Will, because Will lived there. That was when you still
Yeah.
lived with Will,
Yeah.
obviously. So
Man,
but yeah, it was just the four of us watching that Super Bowl because P
And
was
it
like,
was pretty quiet.
Jade was yesterday. Jade was like, I want to watch that game with you. I'm like, are you sure about that? She goes, actually, I don't think I want to watch that game with you. I'm like, I don't think you
yeah,
would. Want
Rachel
to.
doesn't like watching Chiefs games with me.
I get
that
it.
much.
Do many people? No, I'm
I
just
get it. You're a
I know.
handful, Sam.
No.
You have to have training in dealing with a Sam during a Chiefs game.
Yeah, you got to know
It's
how
special
negative it's
training.
about to get.
Yeah.
Look, I was pretty positive on Saturday.
I'm gonna try to stay positive if that matchup were to come throughout the whole thing. I'm gonna try to be happy no matter what
if it's in-
happens, but I'm gonna be a little sad about it.
I
I
won't
think
be
if
like,
I'm you, I just go and like play skee ball during the Super Bowl or something.
Can't
I'm
do
not going to
that.
be distraught.
I've
if
watched
the
so many
Chiefs
Super Bowls
lose.
I've watched 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots and Giants. I deserve this.
I
I deserve this.
But
Where
you
I had
gotta
to
see-
root for the Patriots and watch them lose to Eli Manning and the Giants.
Yeah, right.
One of those years, they would have been perfect.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if the Eagles, if that happens and the Eagles like beat the Chiefs in it for a Super Bowl, like I don't know if I can forgive the Eagles. Like they're my number 2 team because of you. They're nothing, I don't care anything about them like you do, obviously. But they are my number 2 team. But if they beat the Chiefs in a Super Bowl, I don't know if they can be my number 2 team anymore, man.
If they play each
Friendships will
other in the
fracture.
Super Bowl, Sam, they are my least favorite team in the league for one
well,
day.
for at least 2 weeks they are.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be tough, man. Especially like for Andy Reid to like.
You've seen. I mean, I think we did it, guys.
yeah, I think that'll
We
do
got
it.
there
So
somehow.
Yeah.
Still spent just as long talking about 4 games.
longer than last week. As always, thanks for watching.
Well, our teams played this week.
Oh yeah, our team played, so
So
we had more to ramble about.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we ever?
Hopefully, some people will like, comment, and subscribe.
Sure.
Be a cool change of
Eventually
pace.
will happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll,
It's gotta
we'll
happen.
ask enough that people will say, "Okay, fine,
Or whatever.
we got you."
Assholes are still doing this.
We like talking, so